You know, for as long as we've been around, there's been one question that kind of sits above all the others. What happens after we die? For literally millennia, the answer belonged to mystics and philosophers. But today, well, the investigation is moving into the lab, and the evidence is starting to get seriously interesting. So, what does lie beyond that final veil? That's the huge question we're tackling in this explainer. And I want you to think of it like a cosmic detective story. We're about to crack open a case file that spans all of human history. For most of our history, this whole question was handled through faith and deep thought, from ancient Greece all the way to India and everywhere in between. But now, something has fundamentally shifted. The whole investigation has moved from, say, the monastery to the research lab. And the tools we're using, they're not just ancient texts anymore. We're talking brain scanners and quantum computers. The search for actual evidence has entered a radical, totally new era. Okay, so before we can really look forward, we've got to look back. I mean, to understand where this whole thing is going, we first need to get a handle on just how deep its roots really go. What's really striking is just how universal this idea is. You look at the Egyptian Book of the Dead, you read Plato's arguments for an immortal soul. The belief that some part of us, some essential part, keeps going has been a constant. Whether it's through resurrection or reincarnation or some spiritual plane, pretty much every culture on Earth somehow arrived at the same basic conclusion. Death is not the end. So, let's open up that case file. The evidence we have is this huge, sprawling tapestry of clues woven together from basically every field of human knowledge you can think of. And the real power here is in the sheer cumulative weight of it all, right? We've got historical records, we have religious doctrines, philosophical arguments, but we also have modern scientific reports and deeply personal accounts, like the verified near-death experience of Pam Reynolds. You can debate any single one of these threads, sure, but when you see them all together, they form a really compelling pattern. Of course, any good detective has to consider all the angles. And skeptics, rightly, will point to things like brain chemistry or just wishful thinking as possible explanations. That's a crucial point. But the thing is, the sheer consistency of these accounts, coming from people of all cultures, all backgrounds, all beliefs, that presents a serious challenge to a purely physical, materialist explanation. The patterns they're too strong to just brush aside. And this is where it gets really exciting. We are now entering the future of this inquiry, a time where brand new technologies and new ways of thinking are giving us some truly game-changing leads. For the very first time, neuroscience is giving us a real window into what's happening at the absolute edge of life. We're not just relying on stories anymore. Now, we are actually gathering data from the brain as it crosses the threshold of what we call clinical death. I mean, this is just a stunning development. Recent studies are finding organized brain activity for up to a full minute after the heart has stopped beating. It's activity that neuroscientists themselves say is, right now, unexplained. So what is it? Is it just the final echo of a dying brain? Or could it be the signature of consciousness itself persisting? And the clues aren't only coming from neuroscience. Get a load of this number. Researchers at the University of Virginia have systematically documented over 2,500 cases of young children who report detailed memories of past lives, with specific details that were later independently verified. And to make that number real for you, think about a single case where a child in Delhi recounts very specific details of a life lived in the 19th century, details that researchers later confirmed by digging through historical archives. That's not just a nice little anecdote. It's a data point in a growing and, frankly, a pretty startling body of evidence. What's also happening is this really fascinating dialogue between the ancient and the ultra-modern. So on one side, you've got these ancient concepts like Atman from Vedic traditions, the idea of an eternal, universal self. And then on the other side, you have cutting-edge quantum physics proposing that consciousness might not be confined to the brain at all, that it could be a non-local phenomenon. It makes you wonder, are they talking about the same thing, just using completely different languages? Even our most sacred ancient rituals are evolving with the times. In Shanghai, a designer named Li used virtual reality to build a digital shrine to honor her grandfather. And she said it felt like he was truly there with her. So technology isn't replacing belief. In some ways, it's creating powerful new ways for us to feel connected to those we've lost. So you see, this isn't just a story for scientists and philosophers anymore. The investigation is wide open, and the crucial point here is that you yourself have a role to play in this cosmic quest. You can explore the evidence for yourself, jump into online forums, debate near-death experiences. You can take time to reflect, to really think about how these huge ideas might shape your own sense of purpose. And you can act. You can choose to live with eternity in mind, letting it inspire you to be more compassionate, kind of like people who plant trees today, motivated by a belief in what comes next. And really, that's the ultimate takeaway here. The search for what comes after this life isn't just some abstract puzzle for us to think about. It is a direct invitation to consider how we live, right here, right now. If our lives somehow echo an eternity, what kind of echo do we want to create? The evidence is mounting. The tools are getting sharper, and the world is talking. This is honestly one of the most exciting moments in the entire history of humanity's greatest question. The search is on. So what will you discover?